Caleb during the 7-game losing streak. Nope. His points were at 15, completion percentage around 60. And it's just overall not great. And then he got sacked a bunch of times, which is kind of his thing. How concerning is Caleb's 7-game losing streak, Coach?
Yeah, I'm not as concerned about it as I think other people are. And I know you showed that graphic, but let's look at the last 4 games
Seems
that
more
he's
relevant,
played.
more recent. I like it.
Well, it's just if we can bring that up. I mean, it's 65%, 240 yards per game, 7-0 yards per pass, 102 quarterback rating. So that's been positive. And this is a team that's in a complete state of flux. The biggest concern I have for Caleb is how many times he's getting sacked.
Yeah.
He's been sacked 56 times right now. I think the record's 76 times in a season. I don't think he's going to hit that. But he's got a shot. He's got a shot based off of the way they're protecting him. And getting past that PTSD of that many sacks moving forward could be a little tough.
Yeah, I'm more with Coach. I'm not that concerned because the one thing you can pin on Caleb somewhat, they're not scoring a lot of points. His numbers, you're right, Coach, his numbers actually have been really good over the last few games. And when they lost by a combined 7 points to Green Bay, Minnesota, and Detroit,
That's
3 straight games. So
good.
you could have maybe won 1 or 2 of those games, and Caleb did play well in those games. Yeah, this was just a different one. So, and Peyton Manning went 3-13 his rookie year. So it shouldn't have a long-term effect as long as they get the right regime in next year. But
So
the hits are like.
Listen, I obviously am not concerned. To me, the comp I would use is Burrow's rookie year, and you just hope it doesn't end the way Burrow's did, which is Burrow got his knee blown out. But Burrow is 2-7-1. They finished 4-11-1. They ended up being able to draft Jamar because of it. Hopefully, the Bears are able to draft an offensive lineman because of this. I have a sincere question because you seem legitimately skeptical. How do you square your overflowing optimism about the performance of the 3rd pick of the draft, with your real Drake May, with your real legitimate pessimism about what Caleb's done? When the numbers are similar, the Bears have a better record. I know that the Bears had far higher expectations, but you're of the belief the Patriots have good players.
But I'm of the belief that the Patriots have good players, but the rosters of the Patriots and Bears are vastly different. And the Bears had legitimate playoff hopes, and the Patriots were on the drive for 5. Caleb.
Say the division for the Bears is probably a lot tougher than the AFC East.
Yeah,
but remember, they didn't start division play till late.
No, but they
still had struggling. Yeah, but they were
still in the. People thought that the Bears had.
They have
more optimism.
They do have more. I think they have
definitely more
easily more talent.
Yes.
And then I expected Caleb to be further along in the race of quarterback eliteness. He was supposed to have the biggest head start, and Drake was supposed to be way down here from North Carolina. He had more room to grow. Then there's a little bit of eye test that I was expecting more special stuff out of Caleb, and I think every once in a while we see a special play, and oftentimes we see a play that feels like it can't. I think there is a reason why the internet, let's say, or there is a narrative there that Caleb looks consistently surprised, and not just me, that this isn't as easy as USC.
Sure. I think that's
there's
fair.
some plays where that would have been there last year, and now it's not like he's almost.
No, it's expectations, and I and others can take ownership of setting the expectations too high. Me probably the highest for the Bears. That's fair. But I don't think if you are just isolating the actual quarterbacking performance by these 4 rookies, that Jaden, I think, has outperformed everyone.
Yes.
I do not think that. I understand Bo Nix's team is winning. I think Bo has the fewest wows of any of the 4.
Yeah, but he's just steady.
And he's been steady. That's fine. He's certainly gotten better. I don't think it's fair for the folks that are, and maybe I'm just listening to too much of Simmons' pod and hanging out with you, but that are just over the moon about Drake May's performance and incredibly tepid about Caleb's.
Okay. I really have no desire to talk about Drake May, okay? But listen, I have defended Caleb Williams every step of the way. I have not wavered on Caleb at all. And I've consistently said now, I do not care how this season's going to unfold, that the Chicago Bears are an absolute disaster. I don't expect them to look great now. Firing coaches, firing coordinators, no O-line. I mean, they're just a disaster. They had, what did they have in the run game? 38 yards from Swift, okay? 2.7 yards per carry. So you do that, no O-line, no coaching staff. I don't expect a rookie quarterback to be able to be good in that situation. He is not being put in a situation to succeed, in a position to succeed. He also does need to play better and all of that. But what kind of drives me crazy is that Nick's now trying to cook these books here and be like, oh, look at these other players. Bo Nix isn't as good as we... And it's not true. It's okay to admit that Bo Nix is playing better than Caleb Williams. Whether you want to explain it away by saying it's Sean Payton or... Because who's Bo Nix playing with? Where's his stacked roster? It doesn't exist. He has a significantly better head coach, obviously. But, we can be honest. We can have honest evaluation. We could defend Caleb Williams till we're blue in the face. But we don't have to do so by saying, these other quarterbacks are actually not as good as we want to say they are. Like, Nick hates when other players get praise. I realize that now. It took me years to understand that. But that's what he hates. When he likes a certain player, whether it's Mahomes or Caleb Williams or whoever, he can't stand when other teams or players or coaching staffs get praise. And that's what this comes down to right now. And it doesn't make any sense. And then he wants to call out the other media. And someone in the comment section, this isn't mine, they said this yesterday, and very smart. They were talking about the banners, and that Nick dropped a banner yesterday and was like, oh, the media is making, he's making fun of the media for praising the Buffalo Bills in a loss and having issues with the Kansas City Chiefs in a win. And the guy in the comments said, are you kidding me? Like, he's ripping the media when Nick in the media himself said that the Chicago Bears were going to the Super Bowl. To the Super Bowl. And now they are technically, not even technically, they just are one of the worst teams in the NFL. I mean, they just are. I said that I believed that the Chicago Bears would be contending to be in the playoffs. I said I think that they're going to make the playoffs. Or at the very least, really be right there. It's going to be really interesting between. And I said the Minnesota Vikings and the Washington Commanders. And that ended up being very accurate. But this is the problem with such extreme takes, honestly. And being so solidified with your opinion. I'm willing to change my opinion at the drop of a hat. And it's something that I actually take a lot of pride in. A lot of pride in. Because it's how you're supposed to live your life. You're not supposed... it always drives me about this show, drives me crazy, when they make their preseason picks and they're like, I'm sticking with it. I'm not abandoning it just yet. And it's like, why? You're getting new evidence right now. You're getting new information. Or if they do jump ship, that's what it's... you're abandoning. No, I'm changing my opinion. Why am I going to keep saying this? If you kept saying that you think that the Chicago Bears were going to make it to the Super Bowl, that would be pretty absurd. You'd be a clown. So it's okay to constantly readjust and reevaluate your opinion. My opinion on Caleb Williams has not changed, even with all this information. In fact, and that's why I liked what Mangini kind of highlighted, even despite all of this chaos, he's actually doing pretty well. The problem is that first half, though, these first half games against the Lions, against the 49ers, they have 4 yards in the first half. That's a disaster. The first 3 quarters against the Command, there's long stretches where you're just like, what even is this? This can't be football. There's a genuine sense that you would do better out there if you played any type of sport. It doesn't even have to be football. If you just even see yourself as athletic and could, be a gym class hero, there's a sense where you're like, oh my God, I could do better out there. And that's a bizarre feeling to have. I've never once watched Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, ever thought, I could do that. I could do better than them. Not once. And I'm not saying I have those thoughts about Caleb Williams. I'm just saying the offense as a whole. And then now when they fire Eberflus, the defense just collapses. I mean, Brock Purdy was throwing wide open receivers. Speaking of coming off the couch, I could be catching those balls out there, man. That's how wide open they are. I mean, the team is just in a free fall. They're just completely in disarray. Completely. And so again, how concerning is Caleb's 7-game losing streak? When you look at the context, when you look how this season unfolded, when you look at the Chicago Bears as a whole, to put majority of this blame on Caleb is just not fair. And so other people are saying, well, I'm expecting Caleb to be able to do better in this situation. Someone said in the comment section, I'm expecting more from Caleb, but Caleb needs to do better, but the Bears do need to get a coach. And it's like, that statement doesn't make any sense. It's like saying, I expect this kid to be a happy and healthy, kind, intelligent kid, but he certainly needs new parents that don't, aren't awful human beings. It's like, well, how can both things be true? People want to act like coaching doesn't matter. And it is turning into my biggest pet peeve doing this channel. Patrick Mahomes, most people think that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. And the Kansas City Chiefs, the roster, GM, ownership, all of that. Why is Andy Reid the highest paid coach of all time? If all of it just falls down on Patrick Mahomes and all of that, why? A lot of people come out and say, well, Andy Reid wasn't winning Super Bowls until Patrick Mahomes got there. Why did the Kansas City Chiefs give Andy Reid buckets of cash? Why? Coaching fundamentally matters in so many more ways than people realize. It's not even just from scheme. I mean, it's scheme, it's culture, it's in-game decisions, it's game plans, it's running practices, it's inspirational, it's working closely with the GM to draft the right players, talking to ownership, hiring the staff, communicating the needs, delegating. It's so complicated. It's so complicated. Anyone who's played sports, you do not have to play in college or the pros to know. As long as you actually played at a consistently relatively high level where there was actual true expectations and it wasn't just one of those teams where like everyone's just fun to belong, no offense. You know the difference between having a great coach and not. I have played for teams where I was bad because of coaching. And I got a different coach and I was instantly better. My mechanics were better. My understanding of the game was better. My comfortability on the field was better. I felt better after a loss. I felt better after a win. Everything was just better. I felt more secure, more protected. I felt like I was growing and get better, and I was getting better. And then I played for coaches where I had no idea what I was supposed to do in any given moment. And no matter what I did, it felt like it was the wrong thing. Even if I won, even if I played good, it was luck. It didn't feel like I had anything to do with it. It was just like, oh my God, thank God that happened. One more day where I'm not going to get yelled at, or where I'm going to have to run like sprints or laps or whatever, or get, reamed at. So to think that any quarterback in this situation, in this environment would be able to thrive, it's just absurdity. And I keep seeing the same take again and again and again. Well, the expectations, Caleb was supposed to be generational. I don't care. No quarterback would be thriving in this environment. Seasoned veterans would not be thriving in this environment. They just wouldn't. So to constantly lump this on Caleb, and again, and Nick just kind of quickly says, I take some blame for this. He drops banners when calling out other media members, and even says them by name. I mean, people should be ripping Nick for being like, hey man, you're part of this problem. People listen to you. You're on one of the most popular sports shows in the world. I mean, Nick Wright is a top media personality, and a lot of people don't like him, unfortunately. But like, he doesn't care. He's top and making money and on a top show. So he wields power. He could be telling people, "Hey, I think Caleb's going to be amazing. I truly think Caleb's going to be one of the greats." But you know, we got to manage our expectations here. But instead, he did the exact opposite. He said Super Bowl. He said football was going to be easy for Caleb Williams. He said Caleb Williams is going to be able to deal with all of this because he's been famous since the jump. The players are going to be thanking him for bringing them hard knocks and extra financial, gains. And now you saying that people are saying that, he's shocked, that Caleb Williams is shocked that this is harder than it was in college. Well, it's not surprising. When Bill Belichick said, "Hey, you know what? Caleb Williams, he's got a lot that he needs to work on." Nick ripped him and said, "Well, Bill Belichick doesn't really know how to evaluate quarterbacks now, does he?" And it's like, yikes. You're calling out one of the greatest coaches of all time. And that's also part of the problem too. Because when we look at coaching, people say, "Yeah, what did Bill Belichick do without Tom Brady? Yeah, what did Andy Reid do without Patrick Mahomes?" It's like, guys, there's still a baseline. You still need competent quarterback play. It's not to say that a coach can just bring, any, John Smith out there and lead them to Super Bowl wins. Majority of Super Bowls are won by Hall of Fame quarterbacks and Hall of Fame head coaches. The vast majority. 70, 80%. Just crazy to me. And it's the problem of expectations, the problem of being the number 1 overall pick, that all of this just gets lumped onto Caleb. Because someone also asked me in the comment section, did Caleb do enough to save his coach's job? And it's like, you know what? That's not the job of the rookie quarterback. I'm trying to put in perspective people who don't play sports, which is the vast majority of people who consume. There's not enough teams out there, and there's too many fans. So we know majority of people never really played sports. And if they did, it was, very much like those teams where they never had to try out for a team. I mean, the truth is the vast majority of people have never tried out for a team and made it. Again, it's just a sheer numbers thing. And I don't hold that against anyone. I really don't. But I think it becomes harder for them to understand what some of these things mean. And I think maybe the best comparison could be, it's like when you start a brand new job, or if you're a freshman in high school or college. I gotta imagine 99.9% of the people who are watching this video made it to high school. And the difference of being a freshman in high school and a senior in high school, or a freshman in college and a senior in college. The things you don't know, and how uncomfortable you are, and how you barely even know how to navigate the ebbs and flows of going to class, of studying, the corners you can cut, the teachers to avoid, the teachers to seek out, when you can have wandering eyes, and when it's okay to kind of, look around for a second. I mean, that's such a fundamental, elementary, base level of just human existence in this country, in America. That that there is a major difference between being 15 and being 17. The things you knew when you were 15 versus 17 are light years away. And it is the exact same thing when you're a rookie quarterback. So this idea, again, to lump all this on a rookie quarterback, it's actually kind of comically hilarious. I remember when I was first getting, going through the years with my niece and nephew, who are definitely a lot, significantly older now, double-digit numbers. But when they were younger, when they were 3, 4, right? We're all exploring what this feels like within my family, of being like, this is our first time really being intimately involved with a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, and seeing the progression of their intelligence, their behavior issues, the happy, the sad, everything. And there's times where you're like, oh yeah, so-and-so, did this. And you have to remind yourself, Well, she is 4 years old. And you have moments where you're like, oh my gosh, she's so smart, she's so calm, she's so this, she understands. When I told her, hey, I need you to, I really need you to eat your dinner and I'm going to take you up for a bath and you're going to go to bed. And she does it. And you're like, oh my God, she's so well behaved. And the next day, she's panicking, freaking out. It's like every move you make is just brutal and difficult. And you're like, what the heck? Because in your mind, you're like, well, that's who this kid is. And then you realize, then you have to remind yourself, oh, well, she is 4. So she's going to have these problems. She's going to have, oh, my nephew, he's 3. He's also going to have some problems. Even though I just had the best day, we watched a movie and I don't even know, Mickey Mouse, and it was great and it was laughing and giggling and it was just a magical day. And the next day it was like, oh my God, what even is this right now? And you got to remind yourself, this is a 3-year-old, this is a 4-year-old. That's what it is with rookie quarterbacks. There's a reason why veteran presence matters so much. There's a reason why coaching matters so much. So we can play this whole song and dance and try to pull down other quarterbacks, or we could face the reality of the situation and have an honest discussion about it. We don't have to do sleight of hand. We don't have to do anything over here. We can focus on what's here. Talk about Caleb Williams, talk about the Chicago Bears, talk about what's going wrong, talk about what we like, talk about what we hate, talk about what improvement needs to happen. We don't have to swing to extreme takes to saying Caleb Williams is a bust. Caleb Williams is so great, he's just not getting the credit because other quarterbacks are getting credit, and actually he's playing as good or better than those other quarterbacks. We don't have to do any of that. We could just have an honest, real discussion about what we're seeing. It's obvious. Just use your eyes. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams? How concerning is Caleb's 7-game losing streak? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.